When did you realize that you and your partner are not on the same page in your relationship? When he said something that hurt my feelings, and when I tried to tell him that he hurt me, he flat out said I refused to apologize for this. And quote. It was a whole big argument, but at the end of the day I realized he cared more about what he had said than how it affected me. He literally didn't care if it hurt me. There were many other issues in our relationship, but I'd say that was the argument that made me check out. When we were long distance for 6 months, and neither of us felt like hitting up the other anymore, and or both of us were waiting to see if the other would, if they still cared. When our goals for the future started to feel incompatible and no compromise felt satisfying. When we started feeling we had no future together anymore. When those two futures felt incompatible not only materially, but on the topic of our core values. When I realized our values and priorities in general were not the same. It's in the small things. Our couple was good, just not great, and that kind of breakup hurts the most. When he wasn't there for me or caring when I was sick, despite him talking big about how he wanted to protect me and despite his comments that he'd never felt a connection with anyone so strongly before. Actions speak louder than words, and he literally just sat there silently scrolling his phone while I was trying to deal with a migraine and make it out the door to go home and get my medication. We are 8 years in. There are times we are not, whether that's from a heavy workload or something's bothering us. It happens and we notice it when affection becomes less frequent. We focus on ourselves, the home we've built and worked so hard to make, getting that quality time in to enjoy each other. That seems to fix it. It all started when he was looking for a new flat and he didn't even consider me moving in with him or even have a conversation about it. We were together nearly 1 year and are both at our end of 20s. Think it's okay to at least discuss it. He was just in general not involving me in his life or thoughts, and when I was complaining about anything he was all big talk no actions. It lasted 2 years before I broke up with him. Now I have a very loving relationship with a man being vocal about his future plans. He wanted me to text him every second of the day. And if I didn't text him he would get mad at me. When I called him on it, he pretended someone had taken his phone and texted me off of it, then proceeded to refuse to find out who it was and ignored it. I noped out of there a couple weeks later. Also, anyone know any subreddits that would be good for me to tell this whole story on? How I can learn to love myself. I'm sorry, I'm not a man, not really sorry. What has helped me most in the search for happiness is simply finding out what I want. Do the things that you enjoy, go where you want, be yourself. The more you search for love and acceptance, the harder it is to find. See a therapist, and your regular doctor, tell them what's up and what is going on. If you define your own morals, and what you won't do, then you can decide what you will do. Then, instead of rushing out to find a way to love yourself, just find a way to like yourself. Patience is a virtue for a reason. It will take time to find yourself, and more time to become the person you want to be. Epictetus The Discourses. Best book I read to learn how in control I am, and how special I am. It's true we are all special and should love ourselves, but we are all ourselves. We only know what we are thinking and only have control over what we are thinking. We have the amazing ability to decide our view on the world, and that view we decide on is the only aspect existence we are allowed to be in control of. Don't let society war that aspect away from you. You are amazing just because you can think those words and choose they are real over anything another person might say, because those words are not real when you think about them, or at least you are in control of if they are. For me, self-esteem came from esteemable acts. I took a good look in the mirror and thought about what type of people I admire and enjoy being around, and then I tried to become more like that. I also thought about what other people do that I do not like, much easier for me to do than see my own faults, and I try not to do those things. Some of it is likely a bit of good fortune on my part, that my brain is capable of some emotional balance and not chemically off. But basically I am now somebody I think I would really like if I met me. Seek to do something active, go on a run at some point in the day, get your heart beating. Therapy. Take a break from social media if you never do that. That way your mind is not on everyone else's life, you're not comparing your life to others. Read self-help type of books. Education can be fulfilling. Lastly, I'll sneak in to seek the love of Jesus Christ, not the Church of Christianity but Him alone. He can fill your soul in a way the things I listed above cannot. He can wipe your tears away. Smile. He would love to have a relationship with you and show you how special you are to Him. Day just simply not like the holidays? Holidays can be very difficult. My dog passed away a year ago on Thanksgiving. Very sad day. I like seeing the smiles on people's faces. I don't have any friends and I don't celebrate any holidays, PTSD, but seeing people happy always brings me joy, so I kind of both love and hate holidays. I feel the same way about New Year's Eve. I don't do drugs, drink, or smoke, and I'm not a party person, so it kinda sucks. The only thing to really look forward to is not working. I do not care for the holidays at all. I try not to celebrate, but most people are not receptive to that and try to involve me anyway. My family is all about the gifts. Everyone has to buy the perfect gift for everyone else, even if you're unemployed and struggling to put food on the table. I lost 10+ pounds one January because I had only enough for rent left over and I was really struggling to find work. Also, we are supposed to go in together in a gift for my dad, but no one ever paid me back. That was a pretty miserable Christmas for me. So yeah, really not a fan of the holidays. Raises hand enthusiastically / I love spending time with my family and friends, but all the rest became a giant hassle to me several years ago, and it continues to deteriorate for me more each year. Hate cause it means we're about to be spending money I don't have on people I don't like. They feel like they're always having to play a character when they're in social situations, and are only their true selves when alone? Yes, all the time. My true self is actually different in different situations. Who's to say that the self that is there when I'm alone is any truer than the one that's at the office with coworkers, or at my mom's house on Thanksgiving, or when I'm taking my kids to the playground? Yes, this is a very common psychological concept. Yes. Most introverts I know feel this way. It's exhausting enough to be myself around other people. I can't fake being sociable and likable on top of that. They'll get the me that they get and I'm okay if they don't like it. I'm not or anything, just more reserved than people tend to like. Ooh yeah, I turn into a comedian. But I'm not funny. How very strange. I am chatting with a dear friend, whom I've never met, and I am trying to get her to take her mask off, at least when she is talking with me. She won't. She always puts the happy self mask on, even though we both know she isn't happy. Yup, all the time. People must think I'm antisocial, but I'm not, just worn down by playing the game. Alone time is recharge time, enjoy it without guilt. You aren't your true self alone. You're Jaset, the alone version of yourself. The person you are when socializing is who you are when socializing. Humans have depth. You aren't supposed to be one thing 100% of the time unless you're a robot. They find it amazing that you managed to stay alive as long as you have? Absolutely. I survived 3 suicide attempts. My body is awesome. I was a heroin addict for almost 10 years, homeless, living on the streets and all that. Been in a lot of really sketchy situations. At the time it was whatever, but now looking back, I feel really lucky that I didn't end up dead in a ditch somewhere. Really lucky. Yes, I've died 4 times now and I'm like WTFF. Why do I keep coming back to this ever-loving meat suit? Why amazing? Are you that old or do you just live dangerously too? 42 and yes, I have been in several situations where I should not have survived. Not exactly sure how I feel about it though. When I was young I never envisioned myself living past 25, I turned 49 in April. I know a lot of people with anxiety or maybe just anxious parents, myself included, who didn't think they'd live past 20 or 25. After that the inexplicable dread I felt turned from I'm scared I'm gonna die young to what am I going to do with my life ? And quote. I shouldn't have managed to stay alive this long, maybe it's time to put an end to this. 7 years sober now with my current boyfriend/fiancé. Before that 6 years abusive drug-fueled using hard drugs, meth, cat etc. Every day, high every day, every other day, date rape drug, depressed, alone, suicidal. I don't know how I didn't die. I'm happy I didn't. Yeah, I give myself another 5 years tops. Man to man, what is one sentence a woman told you that is still stuck in your head until this day? You don't have to earn it. And quote. I was in the hospital just under 2 weeks ago after a suicide attempt. One of my closest friends came with me to the hospital and stayed by my side for hours. At one point I said that I didn't deserve her, that she was doing too much for me and I didn't earn it. She argued with me for a bit, telling me that she loves me and that she's always going to be there for me, so I asked what did I do to deserve this? So she said, you don't have to earn it. I love you no matter what. And quote. That was the moment I started coming to terms with the idea that love doesn't have to be earned. It's still completely foreign to me but I'm working on it. You can't make me want to be with you, said by the woman I was married to during her affair. That sentence alone was the push I needed to end my codependency. It was just like one day a switch flipped and all of a sudden she didn't want to be around me anymore. It me up pretty bad for a while. I tried desperately to win back her affection, but to no avail. Ultimately I learned that I wasn't the problem, her boyfriend was. Sounds simple and hokey, because I love you. And quote. My wife said to me when I honestly asked her why she was being so good and sweet and thoughtful to me, while we were dating. The reality hit me like a sack of bricks. I've known so many vacuous, insipid, short-sighted females. I couldn't understand why she was being so thoughtful and sweet to me, all the time. Because I love you. And quote. It pulled me out of the toxic bullshit relationship expectations that gets shoved down our throats from TV and media. It's become the reason for everything my wife and I do, every day. Because I love you. And quote. My wife spent the first 10 years of our relationship saying she never wanted children. She had massive U-turn on this and said she did. I supported her decision either way and now we have 2 kids. But, when pregnant for our first, I asked her what she would have done. I did not want kids when she changed her mind. Her response, I would have found someone that did. And quote. Unsurprisingly the marriage ain't great, but we have great kids and are working on it. I was into this girl and she was showing no interest. We were at a party and I decided to call it quits and head to bed. Her friend walks into the room and told me just because she's not into you doesn't mean she wants to be alone. And quote. I've never felt so small and used before and it haunts me to this day.